Hey guys, my name is Vishal and today we have a really exciting video. In this video we're going to be checking out the all-new iPad mini, and I've been using the iPad mini for the last week, and in this video what we're going to do is summarize my findings after having used the iPad mini over the last week. Now, I was kind of surprised by how much I liked using the iPad mini. What I really liked about it was its ability to do everything you can do on an iPhone, except on a slightly larger screen with a little bit more battery life, and now in a form factor that's smaller than last year's iPad Air. Now, not all the features on this year's iPad mini are new, but they've been implemented onto a device that can match up to today's iPhones. And in this video, I want to take you guys through the 3 big changes that make this year's iPad mini such a great device to use, starting with the design. This year's iPad mini replicates the design from 2020 iPad Air. It has the same flat edge design, it has the aluminum case, as well as the embedded front glass. Now, I'm honestly a huge fan of this design, and I'm glad that Apple took this approach with the iPad mini as well. I like that the whole case is aluminum because it means that you get less fingerprints on the back, as well as it makes it a little bit less slippery. The other thing on the back that you can see is the lonely 12 megapixel wide angle camera that's also housed in the aluminum case, but it does protrude slightly. Now, the power and volume buttons have also been strategically placed on the iPad mini. The power button is pretty much in the same location as it was in previous generations, but now includes Touch ID, which you can use to unlock the device with your fingerprint. The volume buttons have moved from the side of the device up to the top now, and I think the biggest reason for that is so you can attach the Apple Pencil just like that. Now, lastly, the iPad mini also includes the all-new USB-C port, which I think everyone assumed that Apple would do after they switched the iPad Air over to USB-C as well. The front screen's also gotten a little bit of an upgrade with now rounded corners, as well as these pretty large bezels, which I'm kind of surprised by because it's been a whole year since we had the iPad Air, and I expect these bezels to be a lot smaller. Now, I don't know exactly why they're not smaller because we didn't even get Face ID on the iPad mini. Now, I fully expect Apple to update this in the next iteration of the iPad mini, but knowing Apple, they're probably going to also include a notch, so that's something you guys will have to look for as well. Next, let's talk about the performance and battery life. Now, Apple's known for creating very efficient processors to put in their devices, and that goes for the iPad mini as well. The iPad mini uses the all-new A15 Bionic chipset, which is also found in all the new iPhones. Now, this should mean that this gets a little bit better performance than the iPad Air from last year, which has the A14 Bionic chipset. And I'll put the benchmarks on the screen, but I was having a hard time finding the difference or seeing the difference between the iPad mini and the iPad Air. The iPad mini could do pretty much everything that the iPad Air could, and the iPad Air could do everything that the iPad mini could, at least for the applications that I used it for. Now, what about battery life? Well, I tested it and the results are very good. Apple specs around 10 hours of battery life using the iPad mini for web browsing and video playback, and I was able to consistently get around 10 hours using the iPad mini for gaming, productivity tasks like taking notes, as well as entertainment. And honestly, I could have gotten a little bit more out of the device because when I was doing my testing, I had around 20% of battery life at the end of my day. In addition to daily use, I tested 3 types of activities on the iPad mini. I tested how long I could play video games on the iPad mini and got around 8 hours of gaming over 5 games. Now, one of the cool things is that I was also able to connect my PlayStation controller to the iPad mini and also play using the PlayStation controller. I also tested how long you could do productivity related tasks like taking notes, drawing, or just reading, and got upwards of 12 hours of use. Now, I think this is really good for those of you guys that are students because you could take notes and study and have this pretty much for your whole day. The last test was just watching videos or YouTube, and I got upwards of 9 hours of content out of the iPad mini. So overall, I think the iPad mini is about a 10-hour device, but if you can balance your activities with your downtime, I think you can get around 2 days of content with the iPad mini without having to charge it. Next, let's talk about the cameras. So the rear camera hasn't really changed from the last iteration of the iPad mini. It's still the 12 megapixel wide angle camera and doesn't have any of the new features like on the new iPhone. The front camera, however, has gotten an upgrade, moving to a sharper 12 megapixel image quality, and now uses center stage. Center stage was probably developed for people that wanted to use the iPad in meetings because it basically centers you in the frame of your video as long as you're in the viewing range of your camera. Now, although I won't be using this a lot, I think this can come in handy for those of you guys that use this for meetings, or if you just like the feature. Okay, so the last feature that I wanted to talk about has to do with Apple Pencil. Up until now, I've been kind of lukewarm about the Apple Pencil. I mean, it's basically like a $170 stylus, and I didn't know how useful it would be or how much I needed it. Now, one of the features that I really like about the Apple Pencil is you can just snap it on like that and kind of take it wherever you want to go. The second reason I really like the Apple Pencil is because it's easy and intuitive to use. You can use the Apple Pencil for taking notes, and you can do that in either fully handwritten mode or in handwritten to typed mode, which I'm still trying to get used to, but I like that it gives you the options. You can also use the gestures on the Apple Pencil to highlight, erase, or select words. And if you're an artist, the Apple Pencil works really well with some of the apps that you can get on the iPad. Alright, so before we end the video, I want to talk to you guys about two things that I think need some improvement or that I just didn't really like on the iPad mini. And first is the Touch ID and fingerprint sensor. Now, I think this is a little bit finicky still, and I don't know if there's some tuning involved, but basically, to be able to turn your device on and unlock it, you need to press the power button down and then keep your finger there for just an extra second for the Touch ID to register. Now, unfortunately, if you press the button and then let your finger go, it won't register your fingerprint, and then you're gonna have to put your finger back on to unlock it. The second thing that I think needs a little bit of improvement is just the icon layout on the front screen. I think that there's basically some space on the outside edges of the screen that isn't very well utilized, and I think you could have a few more widgets or apps on your screen and make it look a little bit more full. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. If you guys learned something about the all-new iPad mini or are planning to get it, let me know down in the comment section below. If you guys liked today's video, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more content like this. Also, if you guys have any suggestions on tech that you want to see reviewed on this channel, let me know and I will try to make that happen. Thank you guys so much for watching and for the support on the channel so far. And I will see you guys in the next video.